efficiently, either by engaging themselves in the procurement process or forward delivery of engineering items in time to the war front. Initially, the execution of engineering services in the plant went smoothly. But when the operation was progressing, the execution of these jobs were challenging issues, since many fronts were opened in the battlefield and many garrison engineer stations had to be established in divisions in quick pace. A timely decision was taken to have a reserve stock of fast-moving materials and stored them in Garrison Engineer Station Vaunia to cater for the immediate requirements of the fighting divisions. Despite difficulties, all the ESR troops engaged in the operation exhibited enthusiasm, courage, and worked as a team. Especially the junior officers set an example for the troops under command today. They were flexible enough to adapt to the changing situations. All formations were provided with electricity supply with generators. ESR tradesmen were attached to each formation as generator and water pump operators, and they performed their task well. ESR tradesmen performed a tremendous task in illuminating Nandikada Lagoon, which prevented enemy infiltration to our TOR. More than 72 kilometers were illuminated using generators. Some tradesmen had to dive underwater to erect light posts. Semi-permanent buildings were made by ESR troops in each div, brigade and battalion. When those formations were moving forward, their semi-permanent buildings had to be shifted to the new locations. This was a very difficult task because the troops involved had to work all day and night to accomplish this. However, all required tasks were accomplished due to the commitment, dedication and motivation of all ranks involved. During the final phase of the operation, a big exodus of IDP took place from the LTT area to military controlled area. ESR troops are deployed to construct semi-permanent structures and supply electricity and water for IDP settlement.
Sri Lanka Army Ordnance Corps was responsible for provision of all type of material required for war, except rations, fuel, engineering items, and medical supplies. Due to the high intensity of conflict, provision of ordnance supplies was very demanding during the entire period of event area in operation. However, due to the meticulous planning based on the concept of combat service support coupled with decentralized and more flexible execution of supply chain, proved very productive. The dedicated and motivated workforce created a positive working environment, and ordnance support, including provision of ammunition, which was a very vital combat supplies, proved to be very effective. The timely procurement action aimed at achieving value for the money, despite many constraints, disposition, and poor delivery of stocks. Timely replenishment, especially at the hours of need, adequate flexibility in standard operational procedures, and above all, the positive attitude of the entire workforce paved the way for success of the supply system to the satisfaction of the fighting troops. The Ordnance Workshop made a huge contribution, not only the provision of repaired ballistic helmet, body armor and flak jacket in times, which was a critical and saved a lot of money, of course, but also repairing of vehicle canopies, barrack items, including sleeping bag, furniture items, etc. The provision of ammunition was very important, and the difficult task fell upon the ordnance troops. The tremendous commitment of the entire staff of the Central Arms and Ammunition Depot for a very prolonged period. Sometimes, both during day and night, was very commendable. The potential expertise of both ammunition technical officers and ammunition technicians were exploited to the maximum, and sometimes improvisation tried by them to achieve the spectacular results and advantages over the enemy at crucial times was unbelievable. The quick response, replenishment, and improvisation with the available resources were remarkable and received the appreciation from all field commanders. The coordination, both up and down, the ordnance supply chain with the flexible and timely decision proved to be the key factors that contributed towards the productive ordnance supply for the humanitarian operation.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the context of electrical and mechanical engineering support for the humanitarian operations, I wish to state that the EME support was consistent throughout the offensive against the LTT and during the humanitarian operation. Light-aid detachments and recovery support were provided to the operational troops to carry out repairs as far forward as possible and to assist infantry troops in numerous ways by performing engineering tasks to achieve the final objective. EME battalions deployed in the Security Force headquarters in the eastern and northern theatres of operation were geared to provide effective engineering support to all their fighting formations, including armor, artillery, and other service units with limited resources. It has to be appreciated that EME troops consisted of a mere 1.8% of the total strength of the army, whereas the average composition of EME troops in many armies in the world consists of about 5 to 8%. However, all EME establishments contributed to fulfill enormous EME support responsibilities effectively, despite many constraints, through innovation and resourcefulness to maximize the equipment availability. EME carried out major repairs to air vehicles and artillery guns, breakdown during battle in location, without backloading them to rear areas, as commonly practiced by most armies, and return them to the battlefield. This was mainly possible due to the technical competence and dedication of its members. With the rapid induction of higher and multidisciplinary technology defense equipment, the EME task became more challenging. EME had to meet this challenge through innovative training in latest technology and the application of innovative methods to solve engineering problems. Ladies and gentlemen, now you will be able to see on the screen some of the significant contributions made by the EME troops. Firstly, EME fabricated more than 300 unibuffel APCs to improve the mobility of the troops. These APCs were built according to the local operational requirements of the troops, giving much confidence to them, and also this saved huge amount of money in foreign currency. Then, commercial type jeeps and light vehicles were modified with armor protection for VIP and other duties. During the critical stage of the operation, the EME fabricated portable spring-loaded ladders